Claude Sirius holds the title of first-class mage. There are only 10 of those in the entire world. People say they're powerful enough to literally move the stars. And at just 17, he became the youngest professor ever assigned to the Royal Magic Academy. But then, out of nowhere, he just vanished. And that's where our girl Spica comes in. She's out here taking a test trying to fly using her staff. She chants the spell and everything, but she can't control it at all. Like, not even a little. She doesn't even lift off and ends up straight up falling off a cliff. Her friend Aria clowns on her for it, but Spica doesn't lose that spark. She still dreams of becoming a mage. She's dead set on getting into the Royal Academy Diana, the same place where Claude used to teach. Problem is, she can't even cast a single spell properly. Aria tells her to stop chasing dumb fantasies, especially since people have been saying Claude already fell off, like he's past his prime. Apparently, 2 years ago, when cultists attacked the academy, he just dipped instead of protecting the students. Yeah, not a great look. Trying to be somewhat helpful, Aria suggests she get a private tutor, but Spica's broke, so that's not happening. Instead, Aria offers to teach her Aquarius magic, joking that the payment would be her body. Kinda wild, but yeah. Spica keeps trying to learn on her own, this time with a broom. She jumps off a roof hoping it'll work, and yeah, nope, she eats shit hard. And the worst part? She's got less than a year before the entrance exam. Out of nowhere, a black magic cat starts talking to her, complaining that she's ruining its sleep with all that noise. Spica's like, what the actual hell? Because that means she can understand animals. Then, with zero warning, the cat uses Sagittarius magic and yeets her into the air. After that, he basically tells her she was being annoying as hell. Turns out, he used to be a human mage but got cursed into that form, though he can still use some magic. Without hesitation, Spica asks him to be her teacher. The cat thinks she is completely insane, but she keeps pushing, saying she'll do whatever it takes to get into Academy Diana. He tells her straight up that the academy is insanely high level and there's no way she can make it. But she grabs him desperately and begs, saying she'll do anything he wants. The cat gives her this kinda sus, pervy look, and Spica, nervous as hell, says she could even offer her body as payment, though it's pretty clear the cat has different ideas. He realizes she's the only one who can understand him, which low-key benefits him a lot. Meanwhile, Spica's just hyped she finally has a chance. So the two of them head toward the capital to start her training arc. At one point, the cat tells her to raise her hand and chant a spell. Gimme a hold beer. But yeah, it's total BS. He just tricked her into bringing him beer, since to everyone else, he just sounds like a normal cat meowing while he flirts with girls. Fed up, Spica straight up grabs the cat by the neck and's like, nah, stop messing around and actually teach me. So they head to a library. The cat explains that the place has everything, from picture books to high-level grimoires from all over the world, and that she's gonna have to grind on her own. Her goal? Find the legendary Grimoire of Wisdom, aka the Book of Providence. Only problem, there are thousands of books. Finding the right one could take forever. And the cat can't help. If he touches any book, alarms go off and guards come running, since only humans are allowed to handle them. Still, he gives her a month, even though he knows it's basically impossible. Low-key, he doesn't even want an apprentice. But Spica? She locks in, starts reading non-stop. Some books straight up activate when opened and cause chaos, but she keeps going, learning more and more every day. A month passes, and the cat's like, yeah, I'm out. But Spica won't let it go. Curious, he asks why she's trying so damn hard. She tells him she wants to become a first-class mage, just like Claude. She doesn't believe he's a coward like everyone says. 2 years ago, when the cult attacked, she was nearby, thought she was gonna die, until Claude showed up, took down a massive monster, saved her, and told her she was brave. That moment stuck with her. Ever since, she's wanted to be someone who can protect others, just like him. The cat's surprised. but also calls her dumb for wanting to risk her life for random people. Still, he shrugs it off and decides to leave, thinking the whole thing was a waste of time. But right before he dips, Spica notices a huge book in the center of the library. She spots some hidden runes on the back cover. Thanks to everything she studied, she actually understands them and activates a key word. The book opens, revealing a secret passage. Even the cat's like, wait, no way! The Book of Providence has to be in there. They go in and find this crazy extra-dimensional space, basically a vault of forbidden books and insanely valuable grimoires. Then a booming voice echoes out. It's the Book of Providence itself. This thing claims it knows everything, even how to break the cat's curse. Turns out it's a karmic curse, not a normal one. His original body's gone, only his soul remains. But there is a way to fix it. Restoration magic. And plot twist, Spica actually has that magic. She just never realized it. Apparently her wounds always healed way too fast, but she never connected the dots. The cats shook. This might actually be their shot. Then the book drops the most unhinged instruction ever. She has to transfer her magic into the cat through a kiss. Spica instantly panics. This would basically be her first kiss. But then the book clarifies it doesn't have to be on the lips. She'd have to kiss him there so the magic spreads better through his body. Yeah, absolutely cursed. Spica's like, hell no, completely disgusted. Suddenly, a guard shows up inside the space, badly injured and bleeding. Looks like the library's under attack. And right after that, a giant monster appears, the same type that attacked the Capitol 2 years ago. The cat figures reinforcements are probably on the way, but for now, they just need to survive. He tells her the only way out is for him to turn back into a human, but Spica still refuses. At that point, he's disappointed, figures that's as far as her resolve goes. And yeah, that hits her. Right then, the monster finds her and goes in for the kill, but the cat jumps in front of her and blocks the attack, tanking it. Then he uses wind magic to launch her away and save her. Spica breaks down crying. She realizes she's always the one getting saved, never the one protecting anyone. But then, something clicks. She wipes her tears, steels herself, and decides she will become a great mage. She picks up the cat, who's now unconscious, and understands there's only one option left. So yeah, she goes through with it. She transfers her magic, and just like that, the curse breaks. From the light emerges an insanely powerful mage, Claude himself, the cat this whole time. He immediately uses ice magic to freeze the monster solid, while the cultists start running for their lives. Then, acting all cold, he says now that he's back in his human body, he doesn't need Spica anymore. The deal's over. Only to instantly turn back into a cat again. Yeah, karma hits fast. The book explains that Spica's magic level isn't high enough yet to maintain his human form. The only way for Claude to stay human permanently is for her to reach a level equal to his. Claude just stands there like, "You've got to be kidding me," and asks for help again, since they technically had a deal, which means he now has to train her until she becomes a first-class mage. Spica can't believe it. Someone like him is going to be her teacher. Spica has a pretty wild and straight-up embarrassing dream. In it, she sees her teacher Claude in his human form, but at the same time, her brain throws in this cursed scene where she's literally kissing his ass while he's in cat form. Yeah, it's that bad. She wakes up red as hell, completely confused. Like, what the actual fuck was that? But she doesn't even get time to process it because Claude immediately calls her to keep training. Claude starts explaining one of the core basics of magic, magical affinity. Basically, everyone is born leaning toward a specific type of magic, and trying to master one outside your affinity is insanely hard. In Spica's case, she's aligned with Virgo, which is tied to life and fertility, so she's naturally gifted when it comes to plants and growth. That also explains why she completely sucks at broom flight magic. since that belongs to other affinities like Sagittarius or Aries. But here's the twist. Spica has something extra. She's got this ability called rebirth magic, which doesn't belong to any known affinity. That makes her kind of a special case, low-key busted. But Claude warns her not to use it for now, and more importantly, not to tell anyone about it. For now, she needs to focus on mastering the basics. Training starts simple. Grow a plant using her wand, a chant, and visualization. And yeah, she pulls it off in seconds, but Claude's not impressed at all. Doing it once isn't enough. She needs to refine it to a level worthy of a first-class mage, especially if she wants to break the curse keeping him stuck as a cat. The problem? Her control is absolute trash. At one point, she loses focus and the plant goes full jungle mode, trapping her in its vines. Claude straight up tells her he's never had a student with worse control, which hits her hard. She starts doubting herself, even thinking she might not pass the academy entrance exam at all. Then life hits. Her mom gets injured and can't work, so Spica has to step up and take care of harvesting fruit to support the house. Claude, being Claude, turns this into a training arc. He tells her that for the next 6 months leading up to the exam, she'll use magic during her daily farm work. It's basically grind season, no shortcuts. At first it's messy, her magic is still clumsy and kinda aggressive, but slowly she gets better. Since she's worked on the farm her whole life, she can actually picture what she needs to do, and that helps her improve her control. Month by month, she levels up. Less chaos, more precision. Low-key glow-up arc. The day before the exam, Claude reminds her not to get cocky. The test changes every year, and most people fail. Still, Spica heads out with her friend Arya, nervous as hell after seeing all the other applicants who look way more prepared and kinda intimidating. On the way to the academy, something crazy happens. The road gets blocked by rocks, which suddenly turn into a giant golem and start attacking. Yeah, no chill. Claude pops out of her bag and immediately figures someone's controlling it from the shadows. Arya tries blasting it with water magic, but the thing just keeps regenerating. Spica is scared out of her mind, but she notices something important. The golem has a marked core. That's the weak spot. In a clutch moment, she throws seeds and creates a plant trap that locks the monster down. That exposes the core. Arya backs her up with a water shield, and together they destroy it. W combo, honestly. Arya's shocked at how much Spica has improved, but Spica just brushes it off like, nah, I just got lucky. Then the plot twist hits. The headmaster of the Diana Academy shows up and reveals the whole thing was a test, basically a surprise evaluation to see how candidates react under real danger. Because of what they did, Spica and Arya pass instantly. Everyone else? Yeah, better luck next time. Spica's in total shock. She can't believe she actually made it. It feels unreal. And for the first time ever, Claude actually praises her. In that moment, she even imagines him again in his human form, just for a second, and it hits her. Behind all his harsh attitude, he's someone she can actually trust. Meanwhile, back at the academy, a letter sent by Claude confirms he's still alive, finally shutting down all those rumors about his death. The World Tree of the Witch's Hat is one of the most iconic spots in the Kingdom of Aradia. It's been around for like 1,000 years, and hidden beneath it, through some secret tunnel, is the prestigious Diana Academy. The place was founded ages ago by the legendary witch Selene. Spica shows up super hyped, but Claude immediately tells her to chill and keep things low-key. Their whole situation has to stay secret, especially the part where she's his student and, yeah, the fact that he can literally turn into a cat because of a curse. Right now, he's in human form thanks to, well, that thing she had to do earlier when he was a cat. Yeah, it's still awkward as hell for both of them, but Claude knows there's no way he can teach properly as a cat, so it is what it is. Claude tells Spica to go talk to the headmistress about getting assigned to a coven, but right on cue, Jean, the director herself, pulls up. She mentions that Claude's return has everyone talking, but not in a good way. A lot of students are trash-talking him. The vibe between Jean and Claude is kinda tense too. like they've got some history or low-key rivalry going on. They end up walking off to talk, leaving Spica on her own. While exploring, Spica runs into this girl named Lo, who is literally stuck in a wall. Yeah, no explanation, just magic things. Spica helps her out and they instantly vibe. Lo explains that covens are groups of 12 students who live and train together under one teacher for 3 years. Then suddenly, this flirty dude shows up trying to riz both Spica and Lo at the same time. Turns out he's Estrella, the vice director's son, and yeah, total womanizer energy. But things get real awkward when he tries that same move on someone who's actually a guy named Castor. Castor is not having it and gets pissed immediately. Then Leo shows up, a buff girl from the Regulus family, and now it's basically about to turn into a magical throwdown. Everything goes chaotic real quick. A chunk of concrete falls and almost hits Spica. Lo gets mad seeing her friend hurt and activates her Taurus magic, turning into a giant to stop the fight. But being that big causes some wardrobe issues. While trying to cover herself, she smacks into the ceiling and almost falls right on top of Spica. Total disaster moment. Right before it gets worse, Claude steps in. He casually levitates Lo, shuts everyone else down, and ends the whole mess like it's nothing. Then he drops the bomb. All 5 of them are going to be part of his coven. And yeah, that's not random at all. Jean basically put Claude on trial. Since he disappeared for years and came back with 0 explanation, nobody trusts him anymore. So now he has to train this group for 3 years and make sure all of them pass. If even one fails, he's getting kicked out. No pressure or anything. Just when Claude is about to introduce himself properly, boom, he turns back into a cat mid-scene. Nobody notices, thankfully. He quietly tells Spica to, repeat the method to turn him human again, but she panics and runs off. The next day, Spica goes to his office to deal with it, but the dorm mother overhears part of their conversation about the kisses and immediately assumes something sus is going on. Later, Claude explains that if Spica really wants to become a first-class mage, she'll have to pass exams at the Royal Palace, and only 0.005% of students make it. Even in a school this elite, Claude is the only one who's ever passed. No big deal. Also, every year, the bottom 10% of students get expelled, so yeah, no pressure. Again, classes are brutal for Spica. The theory stuff completely cooks her brain and she can't keep up. In practical training, they have to catch these creatures called Loforns, which can sense magic and run away instantly. While other students like Aurea Aquarius are popping off, Spica can't catch a single one. Claude's clearly disappointed and tells her they'll talk later. Feeling down, Spica heads to the observatory where Claude is waiting. There, he uses magic to recreate the night sky and shows her a star called Spica. Yeah, same name as her. He explains that it looks like one star, but it's actually 2 stars orbiting each other, shining way brighter together than alone, like thousands of times brighter than the sun. Basically, he's telling her teamwork equals broken. Based message. Spica gets it. She smiles, laughs a bit, feeling motivated again. Meanwhile, Claude is low-key embarrassed for getting that sentimental and tries to act strict again. But he makes one thing clear. She's not getting any rest until she manages to capture 12 Loforns. And just like that, her real training arc officially begins. As the days go by, the Academy's headmistress calls Claude in for a serious talk about his students. Overall, the group's struggling a bit, but one case stands out big time. Castor Gemini. This dude is constantly getting into fights, knocking people out left and right, and straight up skipping Claude's classes. And it's not just about him. If Claude can't get Castor back on track, both of them could get kicked out. Yeah, it's that bad. Claude later explains everything to Spica, who actually listens and starts thinking about how they could get Castor to come back. But it's not that simple. Castor clearly has some kind of personal issue with Claude. Still, they go looking for him, and it doesn't take long to find him.
right in the middle of another fight. He's just knocked some guy out cold, casually saying the dude touched him without permission, so he just beat some sense into him. No big deal, apparently.
Claude tries to talk to him, firm but not aggressive. He warns him that if he keeps this up, he's done for. But instead of threatening him, he offers help, like actually tries to be a teacher. Castor couldn't care less. He brushes him off with pure attitude, making it clear he doesn't respect anything Claude says. Still, thanks to Lo basically forcing him, he ends up showing up to class anyway. During a practical lesson, Claude teaches them how to harvest mandrakes, which is super important medicinal plants. Castor, of course, refuses to cooperate at first, keeping that same rebellious energy, but eventually he gets dragged into it. Watching him closely, Spica starts to realize something. He doesn't seem like a bad person deep down, more like someone carrying a ton of frustration. Then things get tense real fast. Castor straight up calls Claude a coward. He brings up a past attack on the academy, accusing him of abandoning his students instead of protecting them. That hits hard. But before Claude can even respond, chaos breaks out. Lo finds another mandrake but trips, and when Castor tries to help, she accidentally uses her Taurus magic and goes giant, sending him flying into the river, where he gets swept away. But when he comes out, yeah, plot twist, Castor is gone. Now it's Pollux, a girl. Completely different vibe, different personality. Claude immediately figures it out. The Gemini twins share one body, switching depending on certain conditions. If the body touches a guy, it becomes Castor. If it touches a girl, it switches to Pollux. Kinda wild, not gonna lie. Pollux explains her abilities too. She uses light magic, which lets her copy skills, bend light, even go invisible. Pretty broken, honestly. But she's still holding on to that resentment. She also blames Claude for abandoning them back then, and instead of sticking around, she decides to dip using her powers. Spica, curious and low-key determined, wants to know the truth. That's when Claude finally opens up, at least a little. 2 years ago, Pollux was his student and looked up to him a lot, but during the academy attack, he made a decision, one that meant leaving them behind. He calls it a personal sin, something he has to carry until he makes things right. And with that, he goes after her. Meanwhile, Spica and Lo spot something sketchy in the forest and go check it out. Bad idea. They fall straight into a trap, stuck in some gross, sticky substance. Pollux shows up and explains these are monster traps meant to lure prey. She easily takes out the first monster, but then more start pulling up, and now it's a full-on fight. In the middle of it, Pollux remembers the promise she made with Castor to become strong enough to protect others. But even with that, she starts running out of magic and is about to get overwhelmed. And that's when Claude shows up. This time, he doesn't run. No hesitation. He uses his Sagittarius magic and unleashes a rain of magical arrows that wipe out every single monster. Just like that. Pollux is stunned. You can tell she remembers why she admired him in the first place. As the day winds down, Claude does something unexpected. He apologizes. For real this time. No excuses, no dodging. He asks for a second chance, then walks off into the forest completely drained of magic, turning back into a cat. Pollux isn't ready to forgive him yet, not fully. But she tells Spica she's willing to give him a chance, to see if he's actually serious this time. She promises that both she and Castor will start attending classes again. But behind all this, there's something way bigger going on. It's revealed that some outside force is controlling the monsters, and their real target? Not Claude. Spica, because of her rare restoration magic. As the days passed at the academy, Spica kept grinding non-stop trying to capture the Loforns, small magical creatures that are insanely fast and super sensitive to magic. Claude eventually explains something important to her. A truly smart mage doesn't just spam magic the normal way like some NPC. Real skill comes from using magic creatively and finding weird, unexpected ways to make it work. He also suggests she ask Arya for advice since she's ridiculously talented. But Spica immediately hates that idea. To her, Arya is basically her rival. Every time Spica tries to do something,
Arya somehow ends up outperforming her or unintentionally flexing on her existence. Asking for help would mean swallowing her pride completely. Still, after thinking about it for a while, she finally decides to do it. When Spica works up the courage to ask for advice, Arya agrees, but only on one condition. She says she'll help only if Spica gets on all fours, gives her the saddest puppy dog eyes possible, and begs properly. Spica is mortified, but to Arya's total shock, she actually does it. Arya genuinely didn't expect her to commit that hard, so now she's forced to keep her promise, even though she's clearly annoyed about it. The two of them eventually head to the baths together, and while relaxing in the hot water, Arya starts giving this super serious explanation about how bathing stimulates the sympathetic nervous system and helps create more versatile spells. Spica completely buys it for a second, until Arya casually admits she made the whole thing up and just wanted an excuse to chill in the hot springs. After messing with her a bit more, Arya finally gets serious. She explains that magic doesn't really have hidden secrets or cheat codes. It's all about observing, memorizing, and understanding spell structures over and over until you can shape them naturally. Then she suddenly proposes a challenge. Whoever captures the most Lowthorns wins, and the loser has to become the other person's personal maid for an entire day. Spica almost dies from embarrassment just imagining the punishment, but Arya seems way too excited about the idea. Honestly, it kind of feels less like a competition and more like she just wants an excuse to spend more time with Spica. The days keep passing, and Spica trains like crazy. Eventually, the day of the competition arrives, and Arya immediately shows why she's considered a prodigy by casually capturing 5 Lowthorns without much trouble. Meanwhile, Spica decides to use the creativity Claude taught her. Instead of chasing the creatures normally, she manipulates giant roots with magic and basically creates a freaking catapult, launching herself through the air at high speed like a human projectile to grab the creatures before they can escape. And somehow, it actually works. She manages to catch one, but even so, she still loses the challenge. Instead of mocking her though, Arya quietly admits that she was actually happy about the bet because it reminded her of the old days when they used to spend more time together. And now, thanks to the challenge, Spica has to act as her maid for an entire day. A little later, Claude decides the class needs a student leader, someone capable of organizing everyone whenever he's not around. The next morning, he tries talking to Spica about it, except she somehow sleeps in until freaking 11 in the morning. So, completely against his will, Claude, currently stuck in cat form, goes looking for her himself. Huge mistake. One of the students spots him, instantly thinks he's the cutest thing alive, and kidnaps him straight to her room to dress him up in girl clothes. Claude escapes in absolute horror, but along the way he realizes that being a cat actually lets him observe the students way more naturally. As he wanders around the academy, he starts casually interacting with different students and quickly discovers that every single one of them is weird as hell in their own unique way. And because his cat form is absurdly adorable, basically everyone falls in love with him and starts chasing him around the school. Right in the middle of the chaos, Capella steps in and tells everyone they're scaring the poor cat. But then she notices something strange. Claude is giving off a weird magical scent that's emotionally affecting the students around him. Using her Capricorn magic, she absorbs the energy and instantly breaks the effect. Claude is seriously impressed by how mature and analytical she is, so he immediately decides she'd be perfect as the group leader. Later, after turning back into a human, he officially offers her the position, but instead of reacting normally, Capella completely loses her mind. Turns out she absolutely hates being called mature or well-behaved, and she gets so angry that she starts smashing windows with her magic in full gremlin mode. The next day, Claude organizes a special training exercise where the students have to combine their magical abilities together. He explains that certain zodiac signs have powers that sync perfectly, like Aquarius and Pisces magic merging together to create massive aquarium-like structures made entirely of magic. Spica tries partnering with Hana, but Hana straight up rejects her, saying she thinks Spica is completely useless. Claude then reminds everyone about something very important. The midterm exams are the next day, and once again, the test will involve surviving inside a dangerous dungeon using real magic in actual combat conditions. If they fail, they could literally end up repeating the entire year. Finally, exam day arrives. Spica is exhausted, stressed out, and nervous as hell as all the students board a gigantic zeppelin heading toward the dungeon entrance, and while flying through the sky, they suddenly spot an enormous creature soaring nearby. A massive hippogriff circles through the clouds above them. Spica and the others finally made it to the massive dungeon. The place was basically a giant griffin nest, and those things were considered a straight-up menace because of how insanely aggressive they were toward humans. Claude explains the rules. Recover the gold stolen by the griffins before sunset, and their grades would depend on how fast they cleared the mission.
To keep people from literally getting folded by monsters, everyone was given teleportation bracelets they could activate in emergencies. The second the exam started, Spica got so nervous she accidentally dropped her wand straight into the abyss. Luckily, Hana used her Scorpio magic to pull it back up for her. But after helping, Hana barely even looked at her and coldly told her that if she was that scared, she should just quit already. While students from the other classes struggled hard to make progress, Claude's students were low-key built different and moved through the dungeon way more efficiently. Even so, Spica kept falling behind and eventually ended up traveling alongside Hana. During the climb, they came across a baby griffin, but Spica managed to trap it using magical roots that formed a cage around it, letting them move on without much trouble. As they went deeper, they realized the dungeon wasn't just packed with griffins. They started hearing screams and found several students getting jumped by other monsters. Hana immediately activated her Scorpio magic, coating her body in poison. The monsters instinctively stayed away from her, but all that confidence vanished the second giant wasps showed up. Turns out, Hana has an absolutely massive fear of bugs, even though she tried super hard to hide it. To prove she could handle things, she unleashed a crazy strong poison spell that wiped out the insects instantly, except part of the poison accidentally hit Spica too. The cold expression Hana always had completely shattered when she realized what she'd done. Even the other students looked horrified, saying they'd never seen such a dangerous spell before. Spica tried calming her down, but Hana snapped and yelled at her to shut up and stay away from her. Meanwhile, other students kept running into stronger and stronger monsters. Thanks to her poison magic, Hana stayed ahead of almost everyone and genuinely believed she could solo the entire exam herself. Then the boss-level nightmare appeared. A gigantic two-headed griffin capable of using lightning magic descended right in front of them. With a single electric blast, the monster instantly wrecked Hana. In that moment, memories from her childhood came flooding back. Times when she accidentally poisoned people important to her because of her powers. Ever since then, she'd convinced herself that staying away from everyone was the only way to avoid hurting others again. Still refusing to give up, Hana used her strongest poison spell, but it barely did anything. The griffin was just built different. Right when she was about to get killed, Spica jumped in and blocked the attack using her magical roots. She straight up calls Hana out for being stubborn as hell and tells her she's lying to herself, because during all the time they spent together in the dungeon, it was obvious Hana actually enjoyed being around someone else. Then Spica reaches out her hand and tells Hana she's not afraid of her, and honestly, that hit harder than any spell. The two quickly come up with a plan. Spica's roots don't conduct electricity, making them the perfect counter against the two-headed griffin's lightning attacks. So Spica starts distracting the monster while Hana takes the opportunity to inject poison directly into one of its eyes. The attack seriously wounds it, but Hana is already completely drained and doesn't have enough strength left to finish the fight. Enraged, the griffin unleashes a massive wind blast that slams straight into Spica and leaving them in a completely desperate situation against the monster. Realizing they need way more power if they're gonna beat the griffin, Spica and Hana remember Professor Claude's lesson about combining different types of magic instead of just spamming spells solo like idiots. Spica comes up with a crazy idea.
fuse Scorpio's poison magic with Virgo's plant magic to create a special flower that can poison the monster from the inside out. Hana immediately hesitates. If the spell goes wrong, there's a real chance she could poison Spica too. But Spica just looks at her and says she trusts her completely, not just her magic, her. That honestly hits Hana right in the feels, and after a moment, she finally agrees to try it. Together, they create this weird, cursed-looking magical flower, and somehow the griffin ends up swallowing it whole. At first, the poison doesn't seem strong enough to do much, but then Spica uses her roots to make even more flowers start growing inside the monster's body. The griffin starts freaking out as the poison spreads from the inside, and eventually the thing finally collapses. Thanks to that combo play, both girls survive the fight, and for the first time in forever, Hana genuinely smiles without forcing it.
Meanwhile, the other students are still struggling hard with teamwork issues, so Pollux steps in to help by swapping places with Castor using his body-switching magic. As for Spica and Hana, they eventually make it almost all the way through the griffin nest, surrounded by mountains of treasure and stolen gold. But there's one problem. Spica has completely burned through all her mana. She tells Anna to just keep going without her, but before she can even finish talking, she collapses from exhaustion. Even then, she feels relieved because at least she wasn't holding Anna back anymore. Sometime later, Spica finally wakes up and realizes the exam is already over. The teleport bracelets have activated automatically, meaning they technically failed the test. Even so, Anna quietly admits something important. She never planned to leave Spica behind in the first place. If she had abandoned her, she would have blamed everything on her own poison magic all over again. Hana also confesses that she used to obsess over becoming the best student in class because deep down she never believed in herself. But after everything they went through together, she feels like she found something way more important than rankings. Later, all the students regroup, and it turns out some of them actually managed to pass the exam. Meanwhile, Spica goes to talk to Claude and immediately starts crying out of frustration over failing. Claude, surprisingly, doesn't get mad at all. Instead, he tells her the real point of the exam was never just passing. What mattered most was how much she grew by learning to trust and work together with Hana. That experience made her stronger than before. But at the same time, he also warns her not to get comfortable, because if she seriously wants to become the best student in the academy someday, she still has a brutal road ahead of her. The very next day, they announce that all the students who failed will have to attend a special recovery training camp in the mountains where Selene, the legendary witch who founded the academy, once trained. Still, Spica decides to make the best out of things and invites Hana and the other girls to hang out together afterward. Even though Hana is still super awkward socially since she basically never had real friends before, she slowly starts relaxing while they spend the day together. They visit shops, mess around with magical mirrors, pet random stray cats, and just vibe for once, without monsters trying to kill them every 5 minutes. By the end of the day, the girls all sit together near the world tree watching the scenery. Hana, looking genuinely happy for maybe the first time ever, quietly admits that she really had fun being with them. And to top it all off, the girls take a picture together, capturing the moment like an actual friend group. As the days pass, the students who failed the exam are sent to Mount Selene for an intense remedial training camp. The moment they arrive at the lodge, Chiron starts roasting Spica, calling her useless. Hana immediately fires back, reminding him that he literally got eaten by a griffin during the exam, so he's got absolutely zero room to talk. Before long, Professor Claude kicks off the camp's brutal training program. The first challenge is insane. Every student has to defeat 10 wooden golems. Spica thinks there's no way she can do it, but Claude casually picks her up and throws her into a magical spring that rapidly restores mana. It feels less like training and more like straight-up torture disguised as education. Still, nobody gives up. After hours of grinding and suffering, every student somehow manages to clear the challenge. Then come the other professor's tests.
Betelgeuse forces them to answer difficult questions while climbing a freezing mountain. If even one person gets an answer wrong, the entire group has to start over from the beginning. Later, Professor Polaris puts them through intense combat drills, challenging them to actually land a hit on her using their magic. After that, Professor Procyon uses his inner eye ability to peer into each student's subconscious, pointing out both their strengths and the flaws holding them back. That night, the girls finally get a chance to relax in the hot springs. During their break, Iwi admits that she's never really cared about magic. The only reason she enrolled in the academy was because her childhood friend Capella invited her. Honestly, Iwi doesn't dream of becoming some legendary mage. She just wants to live in a world where she doesn't have to worry about anything. After the bath, Spica and Hana accidentally overhear a conversation between Claude and Capella. Capella reveals that the main reason she came to the camp was to help Awe learn to enjoy magic. The wholesome moment is suddenly interrupted when a weird guy named Yamada Pegasus crashes through a frickin' window. Turns out he's the professor responsible for teaching cross magic. For his exam, students must make a magical rose bloom, a flower that symbolizes the bond between two people. At first, Spica and Hana fail over and over again, just like everyone else. But after countless attempts, they finally realize the secret. They have to synchronize their feelings and genuinely work together. Once they do, the rose blooms, and they barely manage to pass after spending hours figuring it out. Meanwhile, far away from the academy, a blonde girl named Ark and a mysterious man named Rigel are making plans to find Spica as soon as possible. And judging by the way they're talking, they definitely don't seem like they're showing up to make friends. The sixth trial of the training camp finally begins, this time organized by Professor Hercules. The challenge is simple in theory but brutal in practice. The students must face off against other covens from the academy in a magical survival game. Every participant receives a special charm that can protect them from a single attack. Once it activates and breaks, they're eliminated from the match. To make things even more intense, the losing coven will be forced to stay at camp for an extra week. Yeah, nobody wants that. The first battle pits Claude's coven against Hercules' coven. After choosing their starting positions, both teams are teleported into the battlefield. One of the opposing students immediately uses a support ability that allows him to share his sight and hearing with a teammate, letting them secretly monitor Spica's group's movements. At first, Spica's team appears to scatter across the battlefield, while their opponents advance cautiously in pairs. Soon enough, one of those pairs spots Spica all by herself. Thinking they've found an easy target, they move in for an ambush. Huge mistake. The moment they attack, they realize it was a trap. Using a cancer technique, the rest of Spica's teammates had hidden themselves inside a fake rock formation. The enemy pair gets taken out almost instantly. Meanwhile, Iwe seems completely unmotivated. She feels like she's forgotten why she's even trying anymore. No goals, no dreams, no clear reason to keep pushing herself. Spica notices and tries to talk to her. She tells Iwe that sometimes you don't have to fight for yourself. Sometimes it's enough to keep moving forward for the people you care about. Those words hit harder than expected. Yu starts remembering her childhood with Capella and all the times magic genuinely made her happy. While the rest of the group works on their next strategy, everything suddenly goes sideways. Yu attacks and uses Leo magic to destroy several teammates' charms. Capella immediately realizes something is wrong. The real Yu uses Ares magic. This girl is an imposter. The fake Yu reveals herself as Ras, a member of Hercules' coven. At the same time, the rest of the enemy team appears and reveals they've captured the real Iwe. Capella reacts instantly. She throws her wand toward Iwe, giving her just enough time to create a smokescreen. The two girls escape by diving into a nearby river. Yu feels completely useless. She's convinced Capella must hate her for being such dead weight. Capella immediately shuts that crap down and tells her to stop talking like that. Then, out of nowhere, a blast of fire magic comes flying toward them. Without hesitation, Capella sacrifices her own charm to protect Iu. The charm shatters. She's eliminated. Now Iu is alone against 4 opponents. The enemy team tries to break her spirit, constantly calling her weak and useless. But Capella's words stick with her. She knows Capella genuinely believes in her, and she knows she's talented. For the first time in a long while, Iwi stops holding herself back. She unleashes her full potential. The sheer amount of magic she releases shocks even the professors watching the match. Her flames tear across the battlefield, overwhelming her opponents one after another. As she fights, she remembers what it felt like when she first learned magic as a child. The excitement, the wonder, the passion she'd lost somewhere along the way. One by one, her enemies fall. In the end, Iwi defeats the final opponents and secures victory for Claude's coven. Watching from the sidelines, Capella smiles. She remembers how years of pressure slowly made Iwi hate the very thing she once loved. And seeing her now, finally enjoying magic again, she can only hope this battle helped her rediscover the passion she thought she'd lost forever. On the final day of the training camp, the school nurse gathers all the students for a mandatory medical checkup and tells them to strip down for the examination. Thanks to her Taurus magic, she can instantly restore depleted mana and heal any physical injuries. The catch, though, is kinda wild. Anyone who gets treated ends up feeling ridiculously euphoric for a while, almost like they're high on pure happiness. While examining Spica, the nurse notices something weird. As she channels her healing magic, she senses another type of magic flowing through Spica's body, something completely unfamiliar that she can't identify. After successfully clearing every challenge the camp threw at them, Spica's group gets ready to head back to Diana Academy. But right before departure, she realizes her luggage is missing. While searching for it, she finds all her belongings hanging from a tree. What looks like a stupid prank turns out to be a trap. A mysterious girl named Ark suddenly appears. Before Spica can react, Ark restrains her with magical snakes that inject venom capable of silencing her while tightly binding her body. Then Ark reveals why she's really there. She wants to steal Spica's restoration magic. Spica is completely confused. To her, it's just a handy ability that lets her recover from injuries faster than normal. Why would anyone want that? Ark quickly shuts that idea down. According to her, restoration magic is one of the rarest abilities in existence, an absurdly powerful gift that could potentially change the fate of entire nations. As the snakes tighten around her, Spica begins losing consciousness. Then, right on cue, Hana, the rest of her friends, and Claude arrive to rescue her. Ark orders everyone to stay back and reveals that she plans to bring Spica before a man named Rigel. The moment they notice the mark on Ark's body, the group realizes the horrifying truth. She's a member of the infamous terrorist organization responsible for the attacks on the Academy 2 years ago. And somehow, things get even worse. Claude recognizes Ark immediately. She used to be one of his students. Then Rigel himself appears. To everyone's shock, he's also capable of using Ophiuchus magic. The guy is seriously messed up. He claims to be fascinated by friendship, love, and human bonds, but he tests those connections through cruel and twisted experiments. To demonstrate his power, he summons a gigantic black serpent capable of tearing everyone present to pieces. Knowing they won't survive a prolonged fight, Claude unleashes a devastating magical storm that blasts the enemy forces away and orders his students to run and find help. But the spell pushes him far beyond his limits. Right in front of everyone, Claude suddenly transforms back into a cat. The students have absolutely no idea what just happened. They assume it's some kind of enemy attack or curse. Worse yet, the nurse's euphoric magic is still affecting them, leaving everyone in an emotionally unstable state while they're stranded alone, terrified that the enemy could return at any moment and finish them off. Even though she's scared out of her mind, Spica somehow manages to pull herself together and encourage the others. Watching her stand tall, despite being just as terrified as everyone else, gives the group the courage to keep going. And with that, Claude's coven realizes the truth. Their real battle for survival is only just beginning. The situation keeps getting worse for Spica and her friends. Their only goal is to reach the train and get the hell out alive, but everything that can go wrong basically does. Earlier, Spica had tried using her restoration magic to wake Claude up, but it didn't work. She had already used her resurrection spell once that day, and there's no way she can cast it again. As if things weren't bad enough, the enemy destroys the tunnel the train was supposed to pass through, completely killing any chance of an easy escape. When the attackers finally catch up to them, the group realizes they have no choice but to stand and fight. The problem? Their enemies are ridiculously overpowered. Rigel's dark magic summons horrifying serpents that can devour magical energy and drain the life force of anyone they bite. Tarf uses his cancer magic to trap the enemies inside a massive metal pyramid, buying the group a little breathing room. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Spica comes up with a desperate plan. If she can reach the Selene Spring and restore enough magical power, she might be able to return Claude to his human form. Cryon immediately says he can get her there. Using his Sagittarius magic, he can fly them to the spring in under 10 minutes. Even knowing how dangerous the mission is, he chooses to go with her. For the first time in his life, he wants to prove he's not a coward. While the two of them soar through the sky, everyone else stays behind to hold the enemy off and buy as much time as possible. During the flight, Chiron finally opens up. He reveals that he's actually the second prince of Aradia. His entire life has been spent living in the shadow of his older brother, a legendary hero admired throughout the kingdom. Unlike him, Chiron was born with very little magical talent, and many people believe he only got into the academy because of his royal status. Eventually they reach the Selene Spring, but Arc catches up almost immediately. At the same time, Rigel is already close to defeating the rest of Spica's friends. It genuinely feels like it's game over. Chiron is badly wounded and partially paralyzed, while Arc uses her snakes to restrain and slowly strangle Spica. When Spica begs Chiron to run and save himself, he refuses. He's tired of feeling weak, tired of feeling like a coward. Using every ounce of strength he has left, he frees her. Arc responds by going completely unhinged. She spreads a massive wildfire throughout the forest and tears Claude away from Spica. Then she starts trying to get inside Spica's head. Arc claims that Claude once wanted to exploit the same restoration magic she possesses. She even reveals that the power Spica currently wields didn't originally belong to her. But Chiron immediately rejects those accusations. He reminds Spica that Claude has repeatedly risked his life to protect his students. Spica admits she knows her teacher has ambitions and secrets of his own. Even so, she chose to trust him, and because of that trust, she was able to move closer to her dream of becoming a great mage. Taking advantage of a brief opening, Spica manages to snatch Claude back from Arc's grasp. Furious, Arc decides she's done playing around and prepares to wipe them all out at once. But at that moment, Spica and Chiron combine their powers through an incredibly powerful fusion spell. And with that, the final battle against Arc begins. After combining their attacks, the flower petals become infused with magic, transforming into razor-sharp blades capable of slicing through almost anything. Even so, Arc completely outclasses them. Little by little, she corners both Spica and Chiron, making it seem like the fight is already over. But that was exactly what Spica wanted her to think. She'd been setting up a plan from the very beginning. Using a tree doll as a decoy, she tricks Arc into focusing on the fake while hiding her real objective. In one swift move, Spica reaches the magical waters of the Selene Spring, instantly restoring all of her mana. Without wasting a second, she channels every last bit of that power into Claude, allowing him to immediately return to his human form. Before the battle resumes, Claude gives Arc one final look. He quietly admits that he always hoped the two of them would someday understand each other. Then, in a single movement, he completely disarms her. But before anyone can celebrate, Rigel suddenly appears. With a smug grin, he claims that all of Spica's classmates have already been devoured by his gigantic shadow serpent, their life force converted into magical energy. Those words piss off both Claude and Spica. Claude is absolutely done with this guy. Standing on top of the Selene spring, he no longer has to worry about running out of mana. For the first time, he can unleash his magic at full power without holding anything back. The attack tears straight through Rigel's shadow serpents and drops Rigel before the bastard even has time to react. Absolutely folded. For a brief moment, it looks like the battle is finally over. Then Spica breaks down. She believes every one of her friends is dead. But suddenly, a gigantic metallic barrier rises before them. It's Tarf. Using a technique he learned from Professor Hercules, he managed to shield every single student from the attack. They're exhausted, they're beaten up, but they're alive. The relief doesn't last long. A new enemy named Lynx suddenly arrives, possessing abilities powerful enough to immobilize even Claude. Luckily, the Academy's other professors show up just in time. Faced with overwhelming numbers, Lynx orders a retreat, taking Arc with him since their mission was never to fight the entire faculty. Rigel, meanwhile, is left behind. Gravely wounded, he's captured alive to be interrogated later. After everything is finally over, Spica blames herself for putting all of her friends in danger. Claude quickly shuts those thoughts down. He reminds her that everyone chose to fight. Everyone pushed themselves to their absolute limit. This wasn't her victory alone. It belonged to the entire team. The next day, life at the Academy finally returns to normal. Spica mentions that she'd really love to visit home more often, and jokes about wishing teleportation magic actually existed. Claude tells her about an ancient artifact known as the Hermes Bracelet, a relic capable of teleporting people if it's powered with a special type of gemstone. Principal Jean overhears the conversation and immediately decides they're going gem hunting. The group heads to a nearby mine, where Jean casually wipes out wave after wave of crystal wolves without breaking a sweat, reminding everyone exactly why she's considered one of the strongest mages alive and the only person capable of wielding the legendary Zodiac Scepter. Not to be outdone, Claude turns it into a friendly competition, blasting through even more monsters than she does. Once they've gathered enough gemstones, they use magic to forge Spica's teleportation artifact. Instead of becoming a bracelet, it transforms into an elegant ribbon. Thanks to her brand new teleportation accessory, Spica is finally able to return home whenever she wants, and after everything she's been through, getting to relax with her family is probably the reward she deserves most. Arc eventually makes her way back to the Order's hideout. Their leader mourns Rigel's death, while another member named Hot can't help but roast him for getting folded so easily and not being anywhere near Claude's level. Arc, however, barely pays attention. Beneath her calm expression, only one thing is running through her mind: revenge. She wants Claude and Spica to pay. Meanwhile, when Spica gets back home, she's surprised to find Claude waiting for her, still stuck in his cat form. He explains that the headmistress asked him to stay there since he can't return to his human body without Spica nearby. Since they finally have a quiet moment alone, Claude decides it's time to tell her the whole truth about Arc. He explains that Arc was born into an ancient family that practiced dark magic. Her religious order had been at war with Selene's teachings for centuries, believing they were God's chosen people. As the daughter of the order's leader, Arc possessed an unbelievable restoration magic that could cure virtually any illness. The cult abused that miracle to recruit followers. They'd heal desperate people, then force them to participate in terrorist attacks and countless other atrocities as repayment. Unlike everyone else in the order, Arc never wanted any of that. She just wanted to live a normal life. Eventually, she ran away, and the headmistress took her in, hiding her true identity from everyone. During her time at the academy, Arc was cheerful, friendly, and always stood out because of her incredible talent for controlling snakes. Then one day, she and Claude found a stray kitten that had just died. When Arc tried to save it, she noticed its body was still warm. She cast her magic. Claude expected her to heal it. Instead, she brought it back to life. She had actually resurrected it. Claude told her that a gift like hers should be used to help people, not controlled by those who wanted to exploit her. For the first time, Arc truly believed she could change her own future. But the very next day, she vanished. Claude went looking for her at the Order's headquarters, but they refused to let him see her. Not long after, the Academy came under attack. While the cult spread chaos across the capital to keep the strongest mages distracted, Arc personally led the assault on the Academy. For reasons Claude never fully understood, she accused him of betraying her. They never got the chance to clear up the misunderstanding. To protect his students, Claude deliberately lured Arc away from the school and fought her far from the Academy grounds. The students, however, believed he'd abandoned them. Even Claude couldn't overcome Arc's terrifying regenerative magic. She simply healed from every injury. In the end, Arc unleashed a forbidden spell that completely destroyed Claude's physical body, leaving only his soul behind and trapping him forever inside the body of a cat. The spell consumed so much power that Arc disappeared immediately afterward. After hearing everything, Spica still refuses to believe Arc is beyond saving. She insists there's still goodness left inside her, and that maybe, someday, she can be redeemed. Deep down, Claude quietly admits that Spica might actually be right. As the days pass, Spica returns to the Academy and apologizes for putting everyone in danger. Her friends immediately tell her anyone would have done the exact same thing and promise they'll all become stronger so they can protect her next time. Soon after, the class begins a new course focused on zodiac magic inside the Academy's botanical garden. There, Spica meets several new students who also possess Virgo magic. During the lesson, she realizes she'll need an incredibly expensive magical grimoire to properly train her ability to store living plants inside magical space. The problem? She can't even come close to affording it. Completely lost on what to do, she starts worrying about how she'll continue her training. That's when Leo steps in with an idea. She tells her he can get her a part-time job working as a maid during a formal ball hosted by the prestigious Regulus family. Neither of them has the slightest clue that the event is about to turn into one giant mess. Spica arrives at Leo's mansion with Claude tagging along, still stuck in his cat form. According to him, he's only there to keep an eye on her because, knowing Spica, she's probably gonna screw something up again. The second she walks inside, she's completely stunned. Every single maid and servant in the mansion is absolutely jacked. Spica immediately tries to nope the hell out of there. Before she can escape, Leo casually shows up riding a massive lion as if that's the most normal thing in the world. After changing into her maid uniform, Leo explains that working at the mansion will naturally strengthen her body. She also reminds Spica that while she's wearing the uniform, she has to address her as Lady Leo. Since an important noble ball is being held the following day, Spica spends the entire day helping prepare the estate. The work is absolutely exhausting. To make things even crazier, the mansion's garden looks less like a garden and more like an actual African savanna, packed with wild animals everywhere you look. Leo happily admits she's always dreamed of living surrounded by animals. Watching everything unfold, Claude realizes that's probably what fuels Leo's beast zodiac magic, allowing her to transform into virtually any animal she wants. The following day, Leo's father, Ulterwolf, finally returns from a meeting with the queen. He's a massive, wild-looking man who honestly gives off final boss energy. Leo clearly admires her father, but she also reveals something heartbreaking. Her mother passed away 2 years ago because her body was too fragile. Unlike the rest of the wolf family, she simply wasn't blessed with their overwhelming physical strength. Later that evening, the long-awaited ball finally begins. Nup, there's just one problem. Leo is nowhere to be found. Everyone starts searching the mansion, until Spica discovers her hiding up in a tree. Leo admits she's terrified. The moment she's officially recognized as the duchy's heir, she'll have to give up the dream she once shared with her late mother. Instead of forcing her back inside, Spica grabs her hand, and the two of them take off. As they're running, Leo asks why Spica is helping her. Spica smiles. "Before I'm your maid, I'm your friend." That answer completely breaks through Leo's walls. For the first time, she opens up about the dream she's been hiding all these years. She wants to become a zoologist. It was her mother's dream too. When she was little, her mom constantly took her to the zoo, and those memories became some of the happiest moments of her life. After her mother died, Alter filled the mansion's gardens with wild animals, hoping it would ease Leo's grief. But Leo never had the courage to tell him the truth. She never wanted to inherit the duchy. She was terrified of disappointing her father. Spica then shares her own story. She went against her parents' wishes to chase her dream of becoming a mage. Maybe she disappointed them, but becoming a mage was what truly made her happy. Right then, Alter finally catches up to them. He's absolutely furious. Inspired by Spica's words, Leo finally finds the courage to stand up to him. She transforms into a powerful tiger-like form, and father and daughter immediately clash. As they fight, Leo finally shouts out her true dream. The two argue while trading blows. But little by little, Alter realizes he'd been making a huge mistake. In the end, he lowers his guard. He gives up the fight. With a smile, he admits that all he ever wanted was for his daughter to be happy. He also reveals something her mother told him before she passed away. She believed that one day, Leo would find the courage to tell her father about her dream herself. Hearing those words, Leo completely breaks down in tears. She thanks Spica for giving her the courage she'd been missing all this time. After burning through almost all of her magic during the fight, Leo's body shrinks back down into a much smaller and slimmer form. Embarrassed by how she looks now, she hesitates for a moment, but then she smiles. She reaches out her hand and invites Spica to dance. Together, they celebrate the beginning of the brand new future waiting for Leo. A few days before the winter camp, Claude has a conversation with the academy's vice principal. The man asks him for a special favor: keep an eye on his son, Astria. Even though the kid is crazy smart, he's always getting himself into dumb situations and has a massive weakness for pretty girls. The vice principal hopes spending time with Claude will help him grow up and become at least somewhat respectable. When Astria finally meets Claude, Claude assumes the guy is struggling under the pressure of living up to his father's reputation. Turns out, nope, the real reason is way weirder. Astria admits that he wants to become a girl. The whole thing comes from the fact that he's completely head over heels for Pollux. The problem is that every time a guy touches her, she instantly transforms into a boy. So, in Astria's mind, the only galaxy-brain solution is to become a girl himself so he can get close to her without triggering the transformation. Claude thinks the entire plan is completely unhinged and low-key insane, but he keeps that opinion to himself. Just to get Astria off his back, he tells him about an ancient grimoire written by Aleister Crowley that supposedly contains the recipe for a potion capable of changing someone's gender. Astria instantly gets hyped and begs Claude to help him make it. Not wanting to deal with this train wreck alone, Claude drags Spica along to help gather the ingredients. The three of them spend days traveling around collecting rare herbs and bizarre materials. After clearing every step, Astria finally completes the potion 5 days later. The second he drinks it, it actually works, and he transforms into a girl. Absolutely ecstatic, he sprints off to find Pollux and finally live out his dream. Then karma immediately hits. He trips, the potion bottle flies out of his hands, and at that exact moment Leo accidentally shatters it with a kick. Since the potion has already turned into an ultra-fine powder, the entire class ends up breathing it in. Everything instantly goes completely off the rails. Every single student temporarily swaps genders. Astrea rushes over to Castor, who's Pollux's male form, only to realize something even more cursed. Now that Astrea is a girl, she suddenly finds herself attracted to guys instead. The sheer mental whiplash is too much, and she straight up blue screens before passing out. Luckily, the potion only lasts about an hour, and everyone eventually returns to normal. The next day, Spica finally buys the magical herbology book she's been saving up for and proudly shows it off to Claude. Later, during practical class, the instructor takes everyone into the field to capture aggressive black lowthorns using magic. Arya starts clowning on Spica for losing their last competition, so the two immediately turn it into a contest to see who can catch the most monsters. As expected, Leo and Arya continue showing why they're built different, but Spica proves she's improved a ton. Using her new grimoire, she summons thorny vines from the ground to trap the creatures before releasing a magical pollen that completely messes with their senses. Unfortunately, nobody thought about friendly fire. The pollen doesn't just affect the monsters, it hits everyone nearby. Before long, the entire class starts acting like they're completely wasted. Even Arya loses it, tackles Spica to the ground, and through tears admits she'd always been scared that Spica secretly hated her for constantly picking fights with her. Claude steps in before things get even more cursed, clears away the pollen, and orders every student to be taken straight to the infirmary. Later that day, back in his cat form, Claude has a serious talk with Spica. He's not mad that she experimented with a new spell. What bothers him is how recklessly she used it. He reminds her that having insanely powerful magic doesn't automatically make someone a better mage if they can't control it. With finals getting closer every day, he tells her it's time to train smarter, be more responsible, and actually hit the books instead of relying on raw talent alone. The next day, Spica watches Lo trying to help an elderly woman climb a flight of stairs. Thinking it'd make things easier, Lo suddenly uses her Taurus magic to grow into a giant. The problem? She ends up scaring the hell out of everyone nearby instead. Yeah, not exactly the smartest play. As punishment for breaking academy rules, Claude assigns Lo to community service around campus. She happily accepts, and Claude pairs her up with Castor, even though he's pretty sure those two are gonna clash since their personalities are complete opposites. Just to keep things from turning into a total dumpster fire, he sends Spica along to supervise them. Their first job is cleaning an old abandoned classroom. While Spica and Lo throw themselves into the work, Castor does absolutely nothing except chill by the window. Then Lo accidentally uses way too much strength, sending Castor flying straight through the window before smashing a huge hole in the wall. At that point, Claude is just done with life and sends all three of them back to their dorms. Later, Lo opens up about her dream of helping people just like Nurse Deneb, who uses healing magic to strengthen and treat others. The problem is, Lo believes she'll never be talented enough to master healing spells herself. Castor bluntly tells her she's chasing something impossible, instantly sparking an argument between him and Spica. Right then, two little kids run up asking for help. Their dog, Comet, whom they'd secretly adopted, ran away after hearing the massive crash from the destroyed wall. The only thing they found was his dog tag lying in front of a mysterious mirror. Convinced he'd been taken by the ghosts of the legendary mirror world, they explained the old story of a young girl who died in a fire, leaving behind a cursed mirror. Spica, Lo, and Castor decide to investigate. After reading an inscription carved into the frame, the mirror suddenly opens into an endless hallway lined with identical doors. While exploring, Lo briefly spots the ghost of a little girl who seems to whisper something before disappearing. It quickly becomes obvious that something seriously weird is going on inside. Not long after, they find what appears to be a little girl holding Comet. She demands that they leave immediately. The group bolts through another door, but in the middle of the escape, the mysterious figure kidnaps Spica. Completely shaken, Lo blames herself for everything. Castor drops his usual cold attitude and encourages her to keep searching for both Spica and the puppy. As they continue exploring, furniture suddenly comes to life and starts attacking them. Castor even gets slashed across the arm by an enemy he can't even see. After Pollux points out a strange detail, Castor notices that the chains holding up a chandelier were melted rather than broken. That's when it clicks. They're not dealing with a ghost at all. It's a mage using light manipulation and illusions to stay completely invisible. Lo boosts her senses with Taurus magic, tracks the invisible enemy, grows to giant size again, and absolutely folds him with a single punch. Once the mask comes off, everyone realizes the little girl was actually a grown-ass man in disguise. Following a trail of flower petals Spica intentionally left behind, they find and rescue her inside a room packed with stolen girls' uniforms, confirming the creep was nothing more than a perverted criminal. After forcing him to open the exit, Comet reunites with his owners, who can't stop thanking the group. Even Castor cracks the tiniest smile seeing how happy Lo is, though there's no shot he'd ever admit it out loud. In the end, the Academy recognizes the trio's bravery and rewards them for their actions. Still, one mystery remains. Nobody can explain how Comet managed to enter the mirror by himself in the first place, leaving everyone wondering if the real Ghost Girl from the legend might actually exist after all. As the days go by, the students are tested with a special talisman designed to measure each person's natural potential. When it's Spica's turn, the results show that her greatest strength is inspiration, while the rest of her abilities land somewhere around average. Then the rest of the class steps up. Hana scores incredibly high in knowledge, Chiron stands out for his flawless technique, Yui shows off overwhelming magical power, and Leo proves she has ridiculously good physical abilities. But when Arya places her hand on the talisman, the thing straight up goes crazy. It erupts into a massive blaze, revealing that she's gifted in almost every single category. Her magical talent is completely cracked, and she also excels in sports and pretty much everything else she tries. Seeing that kind of all-around talent makes Spica question, once again, how someone her own age can be that insanely gifted. Not long after, Claude announces that final exams are coming the following week. Anyone who fails both the written tests and the final practical exam won't be promoted to the next year. Determined to chase her dream, Spica throws herself into studying. Arya keeps trying to lure her away from the books and go hang out instead. But Spica remembers what happened when Arya accidentally inhaled those strange spores and ended up revealing some of her true feelings. Because of that, Spica no longer believes Arya is genuinely trying to sabotage her. In the end, Arya actually helps her study, even if she can't resist cracking jokes every chance she gets. During one of their study sessions, Arya laughs after Spica admits she wants to become a first-class mage someday. But Spica doesn't back down. She makes it clear that she won't let anyone make fun of her dream because she wants to become strong enough to protect the people around her. For a brief moment, Arya drops the jokes. She admits she doesn't have a dream anywhere near as clear as Spica's and quietly wonders if Spica looks down on her because she has such a strong goal in life. The serious mood only lasts a few seconds before Arya plays it off like she was just messing around. Eventually, final exam day arrives. The entire class travels by ship to a remote island where they'll have to clear a dungeon as their practical test. Before everything starts, they get a little time to chill at the beach, but Claude quickly hands everyone a special uniform for the exam. Their objective is to locate 4 hidden gems scattered throughout the dungeon. The catch is that stealing gems from other teams is completely fair game, so things are about to get spicy. The second the exam begins, a gigantic golem erupts from beneath the sand. Every team immediately joins forces to destroy its core before it can wipe them out. After bringing the monster down, Spica confidently declares in front of everyone that Arya is going to be the top student in the entire class, hyping up the rest of her classmates as well. Meanwhile, Claude just watches the whole thing from the sidelines, looking chill as hell, like he's on vacation instead of supervising one of the Academy's biggest exams. Spica finds a magical doll inside a bag, along with a note telling her to put a lock of her hair inside it. When she does, she discovers that it's actually a voodoo doll that can protect her by taking her place whenever she's in danger. However, it can only do this 3 times. The map also contains a mysterious message that reads, "The diamond sleeps in the heart," which could be a clue pointing toward one of the gems. While searching for the gems, Spica enters a massive cave and discovers several glowing structures that look like crystals. But when she touches them, she realizes they're actually sticky webs created by a magical insect that uses its saliva to trap its prey. Spica uses her Virgo magic to summon a magical cactus and manages to escape. Shortly afterward, her voodoo doll starts glowing green, signaling that an emerald is nearby. But then an explosion goes off, revealing that some of her classmates are already fighting over it. Pollux and Arya are battling for the gem. Pollux uses her Gemini magic to create a clone of herself, allowing them to attack from both sides. Arya counters by trapping her with her Aquarius magic. Pollux manages to turn invisible and snatch the emerald, but Arya creates a giant water serpent that chases her all the way toward the ocean. She then uses the surrounding water to form a massive whale whose attack hits with devastating force. Just before Pollux is crushed, her voodoo doll activates and saves her life. With no other choice, Pollux surrenders and hands over the emerald. Arya then starts messing with Spica, revealing that she knew Spica had been watching the entire fight. She also points out that Spica still hasn't collected a single gem. Meanwhile, Mello is searching for her dolphin, Johnny, who was swept away by the current during the battle. Hungry and exhausted, Spica tries to cook some food using worm meat, banana leaves, and local fruit. But just as she's getting everything ready, Johnny literally falls out of the sky and lands right on top of the campfire, completely destroying her food. Mello thinks Spica was trying to eat Johnny and immediately starts singing for him, believing her dolphin has died. Her song touches Spica, who quickly explains that everything was just a freak accident. Unfortunately, Johnny ends up with burns and needs red aloe to recover. Mello's doll reveals that there's some aloe growing in a high-altitude area of the island, so the two girls set off together to find it. The journey is rough, but eventually they start singing together as they travel and manage to find the plant. Mello thanks Spica for putting herself in danger to save Johnny and tells her that she's a true friend. She's also convinced that Spica's kindness will come back to her someday. Her words help Spica regain some confidence after feeling inferior to Arya following the insane display of power she witnessed. But just when Spica starts feeling better, her doll reminds her of the harsh reality. There are only a few hours left before the exam ends, and she still hasn't collected a single gem. Spica is currently dead last in the exam, while Arya is comfortably sitting in first place with 40 points. Claude considers Arya an exceptional student, although he also notices that her powerful attacks burn through way too much mana. Meanwhile, Lo doesn't seem particularly interested in competing and would rather spend her time building her own cabin on the island. Hana has already collected 6 gems, even though she's pretty clumsy and absolutely terrified of spiders. Estrella, on the other hand, is basically wasting time playing around with her voodoo doll and making it pose on the beach. While watching Spica through his crystal ball, Claude remembers seeing her help Mello find aloe and starts worrying when he realizes she still hasn't collected a single gem. Suddenly, Spica's voodoo doll starts vibrating. Claude uses their connection to communicate with everyone and indirectly gives Spica a little push. He shows them the current rankings and reveals that Spica is in last place, with only 14 hours left for her to make a comeback. Spica starts freaking out, thinking she'll have to steal a gem from another contestant. Then the doll detects something shiny sitting on top of a tree. It's an armored vulture, and right there in its beak is a ruby. Spica realizes that getting that ruby could potentially shoot her straight into first place. Unfortunately, 3 other students have already noticed it too. The vulture suddenly takes off, and the 4 girls immediately give chase. Its chicks start dropping rocks from the sky to slow them down. Yu uses her Aries magic to propel herself forward and blast through the obstacles with a wave of heat, while Spica uses her nature magic to grab the bird with a giant vine. But the vulture keeps flying, dragging Spica behind it and smashing her into a rocky wall. Leo uses her magic to transform first into a rabbit girl and then into a flying squirrel, allowing her to catch up and grab one of the bird's wings. Meanwhile, Capella summons Capricorn's skull to keep herself floating through the air, while Mello joins the chase as well. The bird tries to get rid of them by deliberately crashing straight into a mountain. Thankfully, their voodoo dolls prevent the girls from getting killed, but the vulture itself comes out completely unharmed. That's when Iwi remembers a lesson from the academy about flames. She uses a technique that produces blue fire hotter than 10,000 degrees.
The heat is so intense that it melts the vulture's armor, leaving its body completely exposed. Just when it looks like the bird is about to attack Iwi, it suddenly flies towards Spica instead. But Spica was ready. She had supposedly taken the bird's chicks hostage, except it was all a bluff. The chicks were actually her voodoo doll disguised with pieces of wood, and even the nest was fake. Taking advantage of the confusion, Spica uses her Virgo magic to make enormous branches grow around the bird, creating a massive wooden cage that completely traps it. Even Claude is impressed by her strategy. Yu tries to finish things with a giant fireball, but Spica responds by creating an incredibly sturdy wooden shield. Yu realizes that the defense is practically impenetrable. At this point, she doesn't think she can keep fighting Spica for the ruby,